Hello and welcome to the latest video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Fantasy Premier League Game Week 9 and try and pinpoint those under the radar gems to help you climb up the rankings. We'll do this via the goals and assists imminent tables, which use the Fantasy Football Scout members area stats to try and predict future returns. Today we'll see who is due a return on the latest tables. We've also got tables on the most attacking defenders and also the best goalkeepers, because I know a lot of people aren't happy with their goalkeepers at the moment, so we'll find out who the best ones are. In addition, we'll take any questions you have at the end of the stream, so have a think about that and post your questions at the live chat at the end. We usually reveal our teams in this show, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to break this video up into two parts because it was getting a bit long, so it'd be easier for people to find things. So part 2, where we reveal our teams, myself and Tom are going to be recording that after we've done the stream, and that will be going out on Wednesday. So we'll get that. So if you want to see all our team reveals, that video and podcast will go out on Wednesday at Fantasy Football Scout. Meanwhile, my name is Joe, and joining me as ever is Tom, Fantasy Football Scout's deputy editor. Tom, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Joe. Yeah, it was a quieter weekend. What with the international football on, so that allowed me to start thinking a little bit more about a Game Week 10 wildcard, putting down a few ideas for that. But yeah, it's been nice just to take a bit of a step back from it all, and I always find that helps with my own team a little bit, just to have that little bit of a break and to reassess everything. But yeah, looking forward to the football being back this weekend. Busy Saturday of football coming up.
Yep, I'm waiting for everyone to keep selling Saka and Matoma, please. So if you're in the live chat, you're watching, you're listening, please, if you've got any of these players, sell them. Nothing to do with me wanting to get them in Game Week 10 at a cut price, but do sell them ahead of Game Week 9 if you can. It would be handy. I might better afford them then as well. Meanwhile, do remember to press that like button if you like what you're hearing and seeing, and do remember to subscribe as well and tell your friends to subscribe. Before we move on to the goals imminent table, the latest goals imminent table, just to welcome those early birds joining us in the live chat: Shaz, Hanny, P, Georgie, Gavin, Multi-Level, John, Epil Gatey, Heather, Jack Tur, many more. Thanks so much for joining us. Do remember to press that like button, and let's hope some of your players are on the goals and assists imminent tables. And but I think there might be some certain players from Manchester United who are being sold in their droves who might still be on this table. And warning alert, they're playing Sheffield United next. So this might not be the time to sell them, but let's find out. Goals imminent table. Are there any Manchester United players? Oh dear, there are. Okay, so we'll start at the top. Rashford, no big chances, so he hasn't missed any. No goals. This is the last 4 matches. He's only had 3 shots on target, but he's had a whopping 17 shots. 12 shots inside the box from close range, and he should have got arguably 1 and a bit goals over those 4 matches, but he hasn't, according to the XG Delta stats. Is Rashford in your team? Is he long gone? Would you recommend selling ahead of Sheffield United?
No, I think if you own like me, I think he's a definite sell. It's not a definite hold this week and then probably a sell after. I don't think the appeal is Rashford this week. I think it's Sheffield United. Yeah. I don't think I'd sell any attacker from any team if they were about to play Sheffield United. So I'm hopeful for my own team he can go out with a bang before I wildcard in 10.
Yeah.
Sheffield United, they just look under-equipped to compete in the Premier League, don't they? They lost a couple of big players over the summer, and Sander Berge as well. They're bottom for chances conceded on both flanks, which could be good for Rashford out on the left. I watched the Fulham game that they played last before the international break. Sheffield United, and Willian had a great game on that left hand side. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm really hopeful of Rashford delivering, but I think if there's going to be a fixture which he does come back and he does get a brace or something, it'll be this one. Yeah. So a hold for 1 more week and then probably sell ahead of the Manchester derby. I think.
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, I wildcarded in 8. I got rid of Fernandes and Rashford and Onana. I got rid of my Manchester United guys. I'd sort of seen enough. But if I'd have wildcarded this week, if I was on a wildcard now, it would be a different story, and I'd be really tempted to have kept at least one, maybe two of them. And seeing Rashford at the top here, that quantity of shots, not the quality though, but the quantity against, let's face it, a Championship side. And Sheffield United, they're not equipped to stay up at the moment. So they're there for the taking. And as you said, this is gonna be some very, I don't like to use the word punished, but there's some sellers are gonna be punished, I think. Could be famous last words.
I don't think I'd kind of blame anybody for selling Rashford, because everybody's given him a lot of opportunities and he hasn't delivered. But I think selling him now ahead of Sheffield United probably doesn't make much. If you stuck with him this long, why sell him now? He came on as a sub for England. I was hoping that, he'd get a goal for England maybe against Australia, and that could just help his confidence a bit. That didn't happen. Don't know whether he starts against Italy tonight, maybe, but you just hope that coming away from Manchester, playing for England for a couple of weeks, change of environment, might come back in, hopefully much better form.
Yeah, definitely. Next name, Darwin Núñez. A cheaper striker. He has had 7 big chances. Put that in context. Rashford has had no big chances the last 4. Darwin Núñez has had 7 big chances. He has fluffed 6 of them, but he's a menace. He's got the quantity is there. So he's had 13 shots, 11 at close range. He has scored 1 goal over that period. He should have scored at least another. So he should be on at least 2 goals over the last 4 matches he's played. 4 shots on target. He's a good stats. He does look good when he plays. But will he start? And also, is game week 9 perhaps not the fixture to get him in for because of international duty? What do you think? Where do you stand with Darwin Núñez?
Yeah, I really like him as a pick over the next few. Like you say, Joe, he makes an impact when he's called upon, doesn't he? He might not convert everything, but he gets a lot of chances. And that's what I like. I think he's got 3 goals and 3 assists from 309 minutes this year.
Yep.
He's hit the post 3 times as well.
Yeah.
And he's had more big chances than Salah, even though Salah's been on penalties. He's obviously got probably almost double amount of minutes. I haven't got the figures in front of me now, but he's started every game, Salah. The only problem is the timing, like you say, Joe, and it's the international break. And we saw in game week 5, he went off to play for Uruguay, playing in the early hours of Wednesday morning, came back to the 12:30 Saturday kickoff against Wolves, and he was benched for that. It's the same thing is happening this time. Plays for Uruguay early hours of Wednesday morning, I think. And then they play the Merseyside derby Saturday at 12:30. So that's got to be a concern. Considering that Liverpool won that match last time, but they haven't got a great record in the 12:30 kickoffs after either Champions League or international duty. They've got Jota, who hasn't featured that much for Portugal, so I think he's probably going to come in. And then it's just what they do with the other spot there. Obviously, Luis Diaz is in the same boat. He's over in South America too. Let's see what happens with Gakpo. I think he's 50-50 at the moment, whether or not he's going to be able to play. He might have to play Darwin, but it does feel a bit risky if you're bringing him in now. We're going to be in the same predicament in game week 13 as well, because Liverpool's match has just been moved from a later slot into the 12:30 Saturday slot. Game week 30, against Man City. And that follows the next international break. So if you're bringing in Darwin now, just be aware that game week 19 and game week 13, there's going to be a few doubts going into it. I guess the good thing is we might get early team news. Because
so is that game week 9 or game week 19 you meant? Game week 9.
Sorry, did I say game week 9? It's 19, we're not thinking that far ahead.
No, right. Game week 9 and 13, 9. No, I thought, wow, exactly. That's like...
the more research.
Great research. Game week 9, game week 9, game week 13. That's what I thought as well. That's why one of the reasons on my wildcard I didn't consider him because it's just not nailed on. However, he is explosive, and if he is starting, I do fancy him. Next 2: Everton at home, Nottingham Forest at home, Luton away, Brentford at home. What a quartet of games from an attacking point of view. It's probably worth a roll of the dice, I think.
I think so.
For those on
in game week 10.
Because chances are he might get 20-30 minutes against Everton. Chances are he'll start at least 2 of those next ones. And even on from the from the bench. And of course, Liverpool seem to be winning a lot of games from a losing position. They seem to be down 1-0 and then just hammer teams, or like with Brighton, for example, where, finish up with 2-2. But there's goals. There's goals there. There's goals. There's late goals, early goals, lots of goals, and that's what you want from investing there. Next up is another player who has sort of lost his spot, but he's gained another spot. It's Richarlison at Tottenham. He's no longer up front. Son is really the guy up front for Tottenham, but Richarlison's sort of cementing a place out on the left. You've got Kulusevski on the right, Maddison assisting them. Another team like Liverpool, a lot of goals, and I think we've gone into the international break with Tottenham top. But Richarlison, 4 big chances, missed 3 of them. He has scored. He should have scored at least another. He's had 5 shots on target, 14 shots, 11 shots of those have been inside the box. And of course, even if he is a sub, he can score. And I think he did got quite a reasonable haul off the bench recently.
He did.
So Richarlison, if you can't afford the likes of Son and Maddison, Richarlison my eyes popped out when I saw this. 6.7 million. People have had enough. But he's quite good value.
Yeah, I mean, you just do not know what you're going to get with Richarlison, and I suppose that's quite exciting. Yeah. He fluffs a lot of chances, but other times he looks completely unplayable. And his role has changed a bit with Son through the middle. He's playing off the left now. Potentially a bit riskier as a long-term hold when Brennan Johnson's back fit, but I don't know exactly where he's at. And I would probably expect Richarlison to start on Monday. He's over in South America too, but it's not that Saturday game. They've got till Monday till they play Fulham. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be an easy match against Fulham.
No.
I think that Fulham with Palhinha in there, they don't tend to concede loads of goals. And I'm not sure if now's the time to be looking at Spurs players. I just think their fixtures after Fulham are getting a little bit tougher. So I'm not sure I own Richarlison, and of course I'll play him this week. But then longer term, I'm not sure if if Spurs are the club you want to be looking at. There's probably other teams with slightly better fixtures. But he could of course haul on his day. He gets to, when he's playing, I love his goal threat. He gets more chances than Maddison in that team, albeit Maddison has got more routes to points than Richarlison.
Yeah, I'm game week 10. I'm looking to offload Son in my team, and I know other people are looking to offload, perhaps even Maddison. I've had Maddison since game week 1, so he's gone up 0.6 million in that time. He's a player I want long term anyway, because I think there's routes to points there. So for me,
he's gonna tick over, isn't he?
But if you got him really recently, he's probably been a ball for the next fixtures, which are tricky from an attacking point of view, as you point out.
I think so.
So they've got Crystal Palace away after Fulham. That's always a tough game. Then they've got Chelsea at home. Chelsea actually coming into form now, just as their fixtures stiffen. Then they've got Wolves away. Wolves, another team we've been trumpeting. We're like the Wolves club here. We love Wolves. They're the goals and assists imminent kings. Their players have always been on these tables. They're not here now because they keep delivering. And then you've got Aston Villa and then Manchester City in game week 14. It's a tricky run in which I could do with Maddison, but Maddison and Son. Richarlison and Son, Richarlison and Maddison, that doubling up in attack seems a bit much.
I agree, Joe. Yeah, I'm looking at the wild card in game week 10, and I might not have any Spurs attackers in that, but if I do, it would be Son who goes in. But I don't think the double up's necessary for that kind of fixture run of which probably lasts, I think, 7 game weeks, because they play West Ham and Newcastle after the games you mentioned. So.
I'll mention a couple of other names. We've got Brown at Luton. He's 4.9. He's had a big chance. He's missed it. Should have got a goal. Just one shot on target, 10 shots. So a lot of shots, but not of quality there. So I don't think we're going to convince many people to go there. Wissa at Brentford, 5.9. 2 big chances, missed them both. Had only 1 shot on target last 4. But same with Brown, 10 shots, but 8 of those inside the box. Looking at Brentford's next fixture, they've got Burnley at home. If you've got him, hold for that, because Burnley are shipping chances. But then Brentford, they go for Chelsea, West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then Luton in game week 14. So game week 10 to 13 are awful, and then it gets better again. So he's probably a one to start moving off. But nevertheless, we've got Burnley, so hopefully we can have some smug points with him. But the next name I mentioned is Maddison, so I've already spoken a bit about him. Its assist threat really is his big one. He's got lots of assists, so he won't feature on this Imminent table because they've arrived. But it's his goal threat that's starting to arrive. No big chances yet, no goals in the last 4 matches, that is. But he has had 4 shots on target. He's had 10 shots, just 2 inside the box. So you see what you're getting there. You're getting long range, you're getting free kicks, which is tougher to score from, being right next to the goal and tap in and so forth. So, Maddison. But it's interesting that he's starting to get some goal threat according to this. Maybe this is, sorted by expected goals as well.
Yeah, I think, the table sums it up. You're getting a lot of long range threat. There's not much happening in the penalty box. No. So that in isolation is a concern. But then with Maddison, you add that assist potential in and that ownership of set pieces and how he's such a key player for them. And he's a really good asset. And he's just I think he's just going to be that player, just that steady Eddie this year. I think he's just going to continue ticking along with an assist, occasional goal, bit of bonus thrown in. And I don't think you can go wrong even at 8.1 million with him. So.
No, we've got Anthony next. No big chances last 4. I mean, he's only had a couple of games or 1 game back, I think. Two shots on target, but nevertheless, just put him there to highlight that he's had 11 shots, 3 inside the box. So there is some modicum of goal threat there, but once again, mostly long range. McNeil at Everton. So we spoke about Everton last week about some bargain basement. He's got Doucouré, for example, and a lot of their other players. And Everton are picking up form. They've got Solanke up top, got McNeil, we've got Harrison there. So it's starting to look like a better side. But yeah, so McNeil, I reckon we might get a return from him, even if it is against Liverpool.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's the perfect Dyche player, isn't he, Joe? Crosses into the box, real creator. He's a bit of an underrated player, I think. But yeah, Everton, I like him. I mean, Calvert-Lewin at 5.8. If you've got McNeil supplying chances for you, I think, he could be a really good pick. The fixtures for Everton are pretty mixed. For an attacker, they're quite difficult, I think. They've got West Ham, Brighton, Palace and Man United after Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking at Calvert-Lewin thinking, well, he could be a really good enabler, but are they going to get enough chances to score in those matches? And I'm not quite sure yet, but when the fixtures fall kindly, I think players like McNeil will potentially become options for us.
Now, Solanke at Bournemouth is next. He's had 1 big chance, missed it. He has scored in the last 4. He's had 3 shots on target, 12 shots, but all of them bar 1 from close range. Should have got a bit more of another goal there. The next... Fixture-wise, long-term, not so good. Within the next 6, they've got Manchester City, Newcastle and Aston Villa. But they also have Wolves and Burnley at home up next. These are absolutely crucial must-wins. And they've got Sheffield United in game week 13. So it's a mixed bag of fixtures, but the good fixtures are really good. And Bournemouth haven't started as impressively as they would have liked. But they have had a really tough run. And these are absolutely must-win games. I would imagine the manager, if they don't win against Wolves and Burnley and then they go into the Man City game, I would say the manager could be the first to be sacked this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been a really tough start, but the fixtures have been so difficult for them. But then that just makes these games, it ramps up the pressure because they have to deliver in these games. I think Solanke's good. I think, the stats are good. There's loads of close range threat there. 11 of his 12 shots are inside the box. It's exactly what we want to see from a striker. Solanke, I think he's got 3 goals and 1 assist in 8 starts against difficult opposition. So, yeah, I think he's a good little kind of 2-week punt. You're back in Bournemouth and they haven't shown much, but maybe these are the fixtures to do it. They've got a new manager, very different kind of way of playing than Gary O'Neill previously. Lots of pressing high up the pitch, but it wouldn't surprise me if it clicked in one of these 2 games and Solanke gets a return. No.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Wolves is tricky. I mean, we've been trumpeting Wolves, so with consistency, Wolves at home is quite good from an attacking point of view. I still think Wolves could do well. They're still tricky customers, but particularly for them at home. So away, you never know. But there could be some returns for Solanke. at Wolves, and certainly against Burnley the week after. So if you're looking for 6.4, if you've got a 6.4 striker slot, or you're looking for a, say, 1 or 2 week punt, I would go for Solanke. He's got the stats. The stats say he's due, and they've certainly got the fixtures next two. But he is a short term punt. And Eze's next, still injured, we believe. He's 6.1. I'll just sort of round up the table by mentioning him, but I don't think anyone will go for him because of the injury. Also all the fixtures are okay, but they've got Newcastle, then Tottenham, which is pretty poor. Then they got Burnley, Everton, Luton, and then West Ham. So a bit mixed, but they got a nice little run in the middle of that. But Eze, he's had one big chance, missed it. 6 shots on target, 11 shots, and 5 inside the box. That's the last 4 matches he's played. Obviously, he hasn't played recently because of the injury. Let's have a look at assists imminent table. Who's due an assist? Now we've usually done better on this one. So a lot of these players here have not only assisted, but they've scored as well. And I must admit, the names seem a little bit more exciting. I think with Rashford and Solanke, O'Neill, McNeil, we should get hopefully some returns here. But there's a lot of potential with this one. Let's start at the top. Ward-Prowse. When Ward-Prowse is on the assist imminent table, he's going to be jumping off with bucket load of assists, I think. He's 6.3 now. 12 chances created last 4 matches, 18 corners. He has scored. He's got no assists over that time, but he should have getting on for nearly 2 assists over the last 4 matches, and 12 successful crosses. These are great stats. Bowen, I think, is the pick for West Ham's kind run, but if you can't afford Bowen, Ward-Prowse, next best, I'd say.
Yeah. Completely agree. It's hard to look past Bowen just because that goal threat. I think he's had 23 shots toward Prowse's 9 so far this season. Has had a lot more big chances, but Ward-Prowse is the creator. He's on the set pieces. Again, I think a bit like Maddison, I think he's just going to tick over nicely this year. Yeah. So if you can't afford Bowen or you need more of an enabler, then I think I don't think he's a bad option. West Ham's fixtures are about to get really good, aren't they? Yeah. Villa's going to be a tough match, but they do tend to do very well against us. We haven't won against West Ham in a long time. So
is that because your kits are so similar? You get confused.
Yeah, it's all a blur. Yeah,
claret and blue blur.
I don't think we've won against West Ham in probably 6, 7, 8 seasons.
Oh, really?
It's absolutely ages. Yeah, we tend to struggle against them. Of course, we've got Emery in now, and we're very good at home. We've won 10 in a row, so I'm not saying that's going to past performances. It's hard to know how much to read into it. They just seem to be a bit of a bogey team for us. And I think if you're eyeing up a West Ham player, I don't think there's any harm in going early this week and getting them in for the Villa game, because you might get a return out of it. But Bowen, top pick. If you can't get there, definitely Ward-Prowse after that.
On last week's show, and do have a look back at it, because it's obviously for Gameweek 9 as well. We mentioned some budget enablers. Souček, we mentioned in there, who is returning to the form he had when he first appeared in the Premier League, which is to be the big annoying guy who heads the ball in. So he's a perfect David Moyes player, and he seems to be returning to those ways. And I think he scored while on international duty as well. So a bit of form going on there. Just a reminder of those West Ham fixtures. After Villa, they got Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, and Crystal Palace. So a nice bunch of fixtures there. A sea of blue. They're actually second over the next 6 behind Villa themselves. So they're definitely the teams to target. So it's good to see a West Ham player on here. Next up, Bruno Fernandes, 8.4 now. People are selling him in their droves, but he's had 20 corners, created 8 chances. He has scored. He should have got at least an assist over the last 4 matches, and he's had 6 successful crosses. Manchester United aren't gelling as well as they should be, but Sheffield United next. Fernandes, it's like same as Rashford, isn't it? It's like team's not gelling, but a lot of promise next game, isn't there?
Yeah, and he's got that set piece threat as well, Fernandes, which is especially relevant when you play Sheffield United, given that they're the worst team in the division for defending set plays and crosses into the box. So, yeah, there's lots of routes to points. There's open play goal threat. There's penalties if they were to get one. And United's fixtures are good. Aside from that City game, the next four they play Fulham and Luton after Man City. So they've got a really nice little run. And if Fernandes were to do something this weekend against Sheffield United, I think people on a game week 10 wildcard, they might be really looking at Fernandes and trying to kind of somehow work him into their midfield.
Yeah, he could easily get a penalty against Man City. There's a return, and as you said, Fulham, Luton, Everton after that before it turns a bit with Newcastle in game week 14. But that's a lovely run. I did a video, I think I mentioned it last week. I did a video on game week 9 wildcard drafts, and the one I actually really liked for game week 9 wildcarders was sort of, instead of having like Son or that sort of player, have Fernandes in and then perhaps move him on if you wanted to, but or just see if they gel and keep him, because as soon as Manchester United do well, because of their global support, this is why Fernandes is now 8.4. This is why Rashford's going down in price. As soon as they start getting goals in, you'll see their price shoot up. That's just the way it is. Next up, Doku at Manchester City. He's only 6.5 million. It's 8 chances created. Not on corners though. He has scored. He should have got at least an assist, and he's had 1 successful cross. So not great numbers, but the 8 chances created in a very attacking Man City side. I don't think people will go there with Man City because of the fixtures, though. They're sort of a real mixed bag, and they've got Brighton next, and they've got Bournemouth in game week 11. But the rest of the fixtures don't scream lots of goals if they're not gelling. But Rodri could be back. They can get 5. They can beat a team 5-0, a drop of a hat. So, yeah, Doku, is he on your radar at all?
Not now, just because Grealish is back. I think maybe the time for Doku was maybe 2-3 weeks ago when he first came and he delivered it. Where was it he played? Was it West Ham? I can't remember who he scored against. But there's a bit of rotation risk there. But I do quite like the wide Man City players against Brighton, because I do think whenever my perception of Brighton is they can give up space behind their fullbacks, and teams can exploit that, can't they? Yeah. So if you can nail the Man City wide player, whether or not it's Doku or Grealish or Foden, that might be a good game for them against Brighton. Yeah.
So Doku plays on the right.
He played both. I think in the last game, but he started on the right and he moved to the left in the last one. So he'll be
against. If Estupiñán's fit, it'll be him, but it might not be because of international break as well, and he might not be ready. Tariq Lamptey can play there, so he could be up against him, in which case what you said about space. But what he might be up against is Solly March, because Solly March used to ages ago play left back and did a very fine job, I thought, against Liverpool. Liverpool, like Man City, top team, so would not surprise me to see Doku v March as one of the contests. And I'm biased as a Brighton fan. I say March wins that, but you never know.
Yeah, no, he did. I know that Salah scored twice in that game, but apart from that, I thought Marsh did really well down that side.
Apart from all the goals scored, he did. He did do.
Well, one was a penalty, wasn't it? Yeah, and one was a penalty anyway, wasn't it? But no, generally, I thought, because I was a bit, when I saw the team sheets come out, I thought, I'm not used to seeing Marsh in that role, but given that he was on the opposite flank that he's used to playing in defence, I don't think he did a bad job.
No, I think it's because I think it was in the Chris Hughton era that he played there. I can't remember when it was, but. I mean, I've since following, Solly March in Brighton. I think he's played all over the shop, really.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Szoboszlai is next. He's a player that we have mentioned before. He's still on the table, but that's good. So he's creeping up the table. So he's now in 4th place here. 10 chances created. He's taken 6 corners, no goals, but 1 assist. Should have got at least another assist, according to the XA Delta boffins. And he's had 5 successful crosses. Once again, I do think there is merit if you can't get to Salah or don't want to spend that much on Salah, who is the most nailed on guy on penalties. He's the best asset. Everyone knows that. But if you haven't got the money and don't want to, I don't see a problem with doubling up on the Liverpool attack. With their fixtures are so good. Got Everton, Nottingham Forest at home, followed by Luton, Brentford, Man City's tricky. Then they've got Fulham. at home. I mean, this is a great run of fixtures. So I think there's merit in doing something like getting Szoboszlai and Diaz, something like that. Just mixing it up and make sure you've got a good bench.
Yeah, I think the appeal with Szoboszlai is the minutes, because he plays every game and he plays 90 minutes in every game. And that is something that if you want somebody to complement Salah, for instance, with Darwin and Diaz and Jota and Gakpo when he's fit, you've always got that doubt there. And Szoboszlai, you haven't got that. He's going to start pretty much every game, I would have thought. I think he's probably a little bit similar to the way that we were describing Ward-Prowse and Maddison earlier.
Yeah.
I think he's a real creator. I think his goal threat is from range. I think only 2 of his 15 shots this year have been inside the penalty box. But it's that all-round appeal. It's minutes. It's, he's taking quite a few corners. He's been taking more corners with Robertson so far this year, more corners than Trent Alexander-Arnold, which has reduced his appeal quite a bit, actually. But yeah, if you want to double up for this run, then getting that kind of nailed minutes guy in the second slot, I don't dislike that.
No, I mean, I'll read the fixtures again. Everton, Nottingham Forest, Luton, Brentford next 4. I mean, let's just go with that. There's going to be a lot of. I mean, they're scoring goals anyway, but there's going to be a lot of goals. Then someone's got to assist them, and this guy here, he's got 10 chances created. As you said, he's a 90-minute man, and in this day and age, that's 110-minute man. So that's even more chances. Someone has got to be assisting all those goals, and chances are this guy's going to get some.
And another thing is with Liverpool is they've had, I think, 4 red cards this year. So that is impacting a player like Szoboszlai, because instantly when you get a player down, his attacking threat is going to be a bit more, it's going to be reined in a bit, isn't it, naturally? So now in these games where they're going to they dominate possession, they're going to play the majority of the game in the opponent's half, I would expect to see a bit more goal threat from him in these fixtures with 11 men on the pitch. So yeah, the more we're talking about it, the more I'm thinking, that's not a bad shout. I think I'd want him and Salah. I wouldn't just want to rely on him, but as a double up, we've seen it's worked with Maddison and Son recently. When the fixtures fall kindly and you've got two key players in the side, it can work. So it's just fitting him in, I suppose, because there's a lot of good options at the moment, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. Eze next. We've mentioned him before, but I'll just read out his stats. He's had this is whenever he gets back. Bearing in mind his last 4 matches he's played, he's had 7 successful crosses, 12 corners, 9 chances created. He has scored 1 goal. He has assisted 1 goal. He should have got at least another assist over that period of last 4 matches. A great asset, got great stats. But as we said, the fixtures are a bit tricky. Crystal Palace, this might not be the time, especially who's injured. Kulusevski, I didn't mention Richarlison, but Kulusevski, 14 chances created, 8 corners. He has scored. He should have got an assist over the last 4 matches, and he's had 4 successful crosses. I mean, it's the same thing, really. We'll talk about Tottenham. Their fixtures are a mixed bag. They're not so great. So, but I think Maddison is the best one to hold over this period, but Kulusevski, by the same token, is only 7 million. So he's budget friendly, and I don't think he's a bad Tottenham midfield to hold through what is a sort of mixed bag of fixtures.
Yeah, he always looks lively. Even against Luton, he looked like he was going to make something happen in the first half. But there's a lot of competition in that Spurs midfield at the moment. There's four midfielders to own, him being one of them, and I think probably Son and Maddison are a little bit above the other 2 at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. McNeil we've already mentioned, but I mean, his goals are imminent, assists are imminent as well. 9 chances created, 5 corners. He's had 7 successful crosses. Great stats. Everton starting to improve, proving doubters like myself wrong. They're looking like a good Premier League side now. Trossard is next. 7 chances created, 2 corners. He has scored, and he has had 3 successful crosses. Should have got pretty much almost an assist over those last 4 matches. It's just rotation really problem there, and I'm not sure what the injury situation is with him. I think he's back now, but Martinelli is back as well.
Yeah, and you've got this competition up front, because that used to be a slot which you used to think, he could fill in up front, but you've got Jesus, you've got Nketiah, who's doing well at the moment. So we're going to need an injury to open up Trossard as a punt again, I think.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Brownhill at Burnley is next. Not many people go there just because of Burnley's form, but if you are to go there, he's 4.8 million. If you need an enabler, he's had 19 corners, 4 successful crosses, and 8 chances created. But if they're barely scoring and they're conceding loads, he's probably not the player to go for. And while Cole Palmer is just a fraction more than that at Chelsea, seemingly nailed on the right wing at the moment. Even though Chelsea's fixtures are bad, I would definitely go for Palmer instead. But last up is
or Soucek. There's a few options, isn't there, in that price kind of bracket?
I like Soucek. There's certain players. I mean, I owned Soucek during his good run a couple of seasons ago, and there's certain players in this game we have an affinity for, and I feel like I know Soucek, even though obviously I've never met him. And if I did, I would look up to him because there's about 2 foot difference in our height.
I think most of us would, yeah.
And Dalot is next on the list at 4.9 million. 9 chances created, 7 successful crosses. Should have got an assist over the last 4. He's on it. I mean, I didn't put him on it. The table chose it, but it shows that as probably going to be a segue into what we talk about next about attacking defenders. If we think Manchester United could improve, Dalot could be one of those defenders to get attacking returns on top of clean sheets. And bearing in mind they've got Manchester United have got Sheffield United next, and then after Man City, Fulham, Luton, and Everton. So lots of potential clean sheets there for him. So could be an option.
Yeah, I like Dalot. He does create a lot of chances historically. I just worry with United about the injuries at the back at the moment. You've got Martinez out, haven't you? And both of their first choice left backs or 3 first choice left backs are all injured at the moment. Wan-Bissaka's out. I think Varane's back, but there's just not much stability there. Casemiro might have picked up a knockjaw on international. I'm sure I read that over international duty as well. And all of this isn't really, I'm an Onana owner and I'm going to play him this week and then ship him out. But even against Sheffield United, I'm thinking 8 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday night at Bramall Lane will be a great atmosphere there. I don't even think a clean sheet's really assured in this one, to be honest. But yeah, I just think Dalot's a good pick, I think. But I'd be more comfortable if they had some of their key personnel back.
Okay, just before we move on to some more attacking defenders, so a whole table on attacking defenders, the latest attacking defenders, that is. Just to welcome so many more who've joined us in the live chat. Welcome to Zubin, Michael, Historia Films, P. Georgie, Magic 69, Rixia. I think Rixia has always been here, but hello again, Rixia. And Abdullah, welcome here. Abdullah rather cheekily is checking on our rank, which we notoriously do not say. But yes, we're both doing hopefully well enough to get a good rank by game week 38. But we'll have more about our teams in the next video that will be published tomorrow. So we won't go delve into our teams. It's all about you and the players and the stats. But we'll have a more selfish video for talking about our teams tomorrow. So look out for that. So let's move on to some attacking defenders. Okay, so this is a table I've done for last 4 matches. I've done it for a minimum of 2 starts over the last 4 matches, which eradicated Reece James, who was on here. So the last 4 matches he played, bearing in mind he's going to be back next match for Chelsea. But no one's going to go there because Chelsea's fixtures are bad, and no one's going to go Reece James because they've been burnt. And Chilwell, I think, was on here. But obviously he missed out because of the starts as well. So bear in mind, and he's injured as well. So they're not here. But first up is Trippier. This is sorted by minutes per expected goal involvement. So because these defenders, you're not going to get Haaland type minutes per expected goal involvement. So he's got expected to be involved in a goal every 170 minutes. So getting on for 1 every 2 matches. But he's been exceeding that. He's had 5 assists in his last 4 matches. No shots in the box. 17 chances created. So 5 assists from 17 chances created. Wow. And 15 corners. He's had 3 clean sheets. I mean, no wonder he's been racking up the points. I had him for 2 weeks, and I think I got 30 points in 2 weeks from him. Did I? Did I get 30? Yes, I did get 30 points in 2 weeks from him.
I think he's got, what is he averaging 11 points per match over the last 4? So if you bought him in at the start of that good run at home against Brentford, that's the difference between me and a lot of mini leagues, at the leaders. It's that kind of gap, and it's essential. It comes down to just sometimes it can be fine margins, can't it? Come down to one player.
Yeah, so. and last match, so Newcastle conceded twice.
Yeah,
Trippier got an assist and walked away with 2 bonus because of those amazing chance creation. He's building up the sort of baseline bonus stats there. So he walks away with the equivalent of a clean sheet points, 6 points from after conceding twice. So yes, he's a very good option. Not in my team, can't afford him. It was between Trippier and Watkins. That was my dilemma on my wild card. So I've got Dan Burn instead. So hopefully the ex-Brighton man can get a sniff of some of Trippier's points. I'm not expecting him to match him, but some of them. So good, great option. We'll talk about our team tomorrow, but game week 10 wildcard. If you do wildcard, then would Trippier be amongst the first names, or might you not bother?
No, I don't think so. I think that maybe the time for Trippier is kind of winding down, I think.
Okay.
I don't think he's a bad asset to hold. He's always going to have those chance creation. I'm just looking at the fixtures beyond, great option against Palace. Good option, not great, but a good option at Wolves, because I think Wolves have proven at home this year that they can be pretty handy. But then you've got Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Man United. So there's some tricky fixtures in there. So I think for it'll probably be 7 million by the time I play my wild card. And I'm not sure if it's the best use of funds now, but fair play to anybody that got on board at the start of that run and even during it, because you've been, handsomely rewarded with some absolutely ridiculous hauls.
So, I know. I had to second check myself saying, oh yeah, he got me 30 points in 2 weeks. Did he?
Yeah.
Is that human? Next up is a Brentford. Brentford's fixtures are starting to turn now. I mean, they got Burnley, but then they turn a bit. And I'll just mention him, but I'll just skip over him, but I'll mention his stats there. He's had 3 shots inside the box. He has created 1 chance. His last 4 matches, no assists or goals though. And only a couple of starts. But I mentioned him there because his minutes per expected goal involvement is just behind Trippier. So that proves that what little shots and chances he's getting, he's making the most of them. So he's one who might get a cheeky return. But yeah, you're going to be lucky to get a return from him. Next up, Cash, though, because we're still talking a bit more quantity here. 6 shots inside the box from Matty Cash. Just one chance created, but he has had an assist. His minutes per expected goal involvement every 236 minutes, so quite a distance behind, but he has got a clean sheet. In my team now, these stats don't look as good as Trippier's, for example, but every time I see Villa recently with Cash, especially when he's on the right wing, he looks like he's about to be involved in every goal. But you, as a Villa fan, Matty Cash, still time for Matty Cash?
Yeah, I think so, because we've got 3 home games in the next 4 against West Ham, Luton and Fulham. Yeah. So really good fixtures. Mm-hmm. I much prefer him, obviously, on the right wing. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, he's got serious goal threat there. When he's at fullback, he is the more withdrawn of the two. Okay. Luca Dean advances more than Matty Cash. But even against Brighton, we saw him get the assist. He got into a good position. And I think because you've always got that chance that he might be on the right wing, I think he's really appealing. He takes a lot of shots. Good fixtures for Villa. What is he, 5 million now? Yeah, 5 million. Yeah. I still think he's probably somebody I'll be looking at on my wild card next week to cover those Luton and Fulham games specifically.
Yeah. So after West Ham, they've got Luton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham. Then Tottenham, then Bournemouth. So a lot of clean sheet potential there. So even if he is at fullback, you could be getting lots of returns there. I certainly hope so as an owner. Next up, Lewis Dunk. Now England regular Lewis Dunk. He's had two recent starts and on top of his cap 4. So that's three caps, I believe. I
think it's deserved, isn't it, Joe?
And so I don't think he may hopefully start against Italy. This is going out before being streamed before the Italy game tonight against England. But if not, he's certainly in the squad because I think Tomori has been sent back because there was only 23 places, so they had to send a couple of players back. Nketiah was the other one. So, but Lewis Dunk is still there. He's still there in the squad. And when he first appeared in the Premier League with Brighton, and obviously Brighton fans know his attacking threat already, he's got a goal in him, a goal or two in him. And he's starting to do that. There was a period where he wasn't the guy going up, getting the attacking returns. But last 4 more matches, he has already got a goal. He's had 4 shots inside the box. He's experienced at doing that kind of thing, so they'll be of quality. So he's obviously started all 4 of those 4 matches last played, so not a sub, and he's created a chance as well. I don't think he's a bad option, really. I'm tempted actually, because the Stupiñán's injured, and we've seen him sort of come off at half time. Dunk if he's not going to play, he's not going to play at all. So if you've got a bench, I think you might get an attacking return. I think you might even get some clean sheets with Brighton's fixtures. Fulham from game week 10, Everton, Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea.
Yeah.
There's potential there.
Well, I've got it in my notes. Ask Joe about Dunk via Stupiñán. So you've got to, because on game week 10, I'm going to want to include a Brighton defender. I think you've got to kind of think, if you're playing the wild card in 10, how can you get little kind of edges? And I think going big on Arsenal and going big on Brighton is probably what the game week 8 wild carders won't have done. But the worry with the Stupiñán is with Europe, you're always going to have that nagging doubt that the fact Solly Marsh played so well at left back in the last match as well, it doesn't help, I don't think. Stupiñán's the player that you want, isn't it? But it's just minutes. And so maybe Dunk is the one to go for.
Igor can also play at left back, so there's 4 choices at left back now. So that's not what you want. And at right back with I'd say Lamptey is actually, his form is really good, but he's still got the fitness issues. So, but you sort of know where you are with him. I mean, I was pretty safe to predict Lamptey would not start the next league game because he played Marseille. So he played really well in Marseille. I thought there's no way he's going to make it at the weekend. And indeed, he wasn't even in the squad. So what will happen is, so he's got a slight injury at the moment. But if so, you know that if, for example, when you have a European match on the Thursday, if Lamptey is not in the squad or he's a sub, then you can think, oh, Lamptey's going to play. I would say, and that's one of the reasons I've got him on my wild card, because it's only 3.9 when I got him. So I think Lamptey is an option, but bear in mind he's not going to get the same level of games as other players, and especially Dunk. So I do actually think Dunk is the best option. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a decision for next week. Obviously, I'd love a Stupiñán if he's playing every match, 90 minutes. We've shown what an unbelievable attacking threat he's got. But if you're only going to get 2 out of the next 4 fixtures, and you're going to get 4 out of 4 with Dunk, then there's definitely an argument to get the centre back. And you never know, like you say, you might get a set piece goal somewhere.
So also, if you are looking for a budget enabler on your bench, next name is on there. Doughty at Luton, 4.4 million, 5 shots inside the box, and get this, 20 chances created last 4 matches, 3 more than Trippier, better than Trippier. You heard it here first. No goals, 1 assist, so not as good as Trippier, but 23 corners. I mean, he's the guy at Luton. He's the guy that's going to get, if they're going to score, he's going to be the one providing it, because I mean that's at 23 corners, 20 chances created. He's just hogging the creativity in that team.
Yeah, he's been their best player so far this year, and I was kind of looking at him ahead of the double game week, but there was a little bit of uncertainty. They seem to be rotating the wing backs quite a bit at the beginning of the season. That hasn't happened so much now because he's been playing so well that he's just nailed down that spot. And if you watch Luton, which we all have, it's just that's the game plan, isn't it? Get the ball out wide, crosses into the box. It's continuous. And so with Doughty on set pieces as well, I just think that with Luton, maybe the ship has sailed for their players now until they get another double game week further down the line, because fixtures, I don't see any clean sheets in the next 5.
No, they're for the next 6. They're the 3rd worst team according to the fixture ticker at Fantasy Football Scouts. They've got Nottingham Forest next, then Aston Villa, Liverpool, Manchester United, Crystal Palace, and Brentford. So possible they might get 1 or 2, but very unlikely. There. Let's move on to Stupiñán. We've already spoken about Stupiñán, but I'll read out his stats here. He is on here. Last 4 matches he's played, created 5 chances, 1 shot inside the box, 1 assist, and obviously those 4 starts because last 4 matches. But yeah, not as good as Dunk, according to this, in terms of creativity, which will surprise people in terms of in terms of expected goal involvement. So not as good as Dunk. Dunk has a bit more threat in the box. whereas Estupiñán a bit more on the assist potential. So, yeah, there's a decision to be made between Duncan and Estupiñán if both are fit. Nathan Ake's next. I don't think many people are going to go for a Man City defender at the moment. Their fixtures are very mixed from a defensive point of view. They've got Manchester United, Liverpool, and Tottenham all in the next 6. So I just mentioned his stats here. He's got 4 shots inside the box, 1 chance created. And so, yeah, not great. Next up is Robertson. Now, Robertson's interesting, not because it's Robertson, because of who Robertson could be. And so he's created 13 chances and he's had a couple of shots in the box and taken 10 corners. But he is injured for Scotland. We don't know how long he's going to be injured for. And when Robertson is injured, it's Tsimikas time. Tsimikas is 4 point something. I haven't even looked at his price, but he's cheap.
He's 4.4.
4.4. I can tell you've been writing articles about him.
Yeah.
So you could probably film him. I don't know what the latest is for Robertson's injury, but Tsimikas, I would imagine, would deputise for him. And whenever he has, he's got some pretty good returns. So he could be a short-term, quite good pump, but given Liverpool's fixtures, Everton, Nottingham Forest, Luton, Brentford. So if he's getting any of those 4, clean sheets and attacking returns possibly.
Yeah, we don't know the severity of Robertson's injury yet. He hurt his shoulder when he was playing for Scotland last week. I've seen everything from 2 weeks to 6 months mentioned, so I don't think anybody knows yet. We'll obviously find out. Klopp will probably talk about it more in his presser. But if he's going to be out for 3-4 weeks, then that presents an opportunity for Tsimikas, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There are other players who can play that role, like Gomez and the youngster Chambers, but I think Tsimikas is the like-for-like replacement with Robertson.
Yeah.
His pass numbers have been really good. Whenever I've had him before in the past couple of years, and when you think he's going to start, he creates a lot of chances. Yeah. But what I would say is that left-back role has changed at Liverpool now. Okay. It's not like it used to be in that. Because Trent's inverting now, not all the time, but quite a bit of the time, he's moving into midfield. And Klopp spoke about it at the end of last season, that the left back can't play in the same way if Trent is inverting into midfield. Yeah. They kind of have to tuck in a little bit more and even become like a third centre back at times. So I don't think even if Tsimikas plays, he's necessarily going to replicate the numbers from previous years. But I still think 4.4 for a Liverpool defender. Tsimikas does take some set pieces as well when he's on the pitch. So you've got that. I think he'll be a really good option if we know that we can get 3 or 4 games out of him on a wild card, or if you're looking for a cheap defender this week and we get the nod that Robertson's out for a bit. Yeah, I'd definitely go there.
So listen out on and watch for, the team news video that I'll do with Neil at the end of the week. We'll have the latest from the press conference there, so hopefully I'll have a bit more information. Murillo is next at Nottingham Forest. I know FPL Black Box's Mark has been talking about him. He has created a couple of chances, had 3 shots inside the box, and he's obviously had a clean sheet. Just a couple of starts. So a one to watch here. 4.5 as an enabler. I don't know if tempting you at all on your wildcards. You've got Luton next at Gameweek 9, but then Gameweek 10 tricky with Liverpool, but then Villa, West Ham, Brighton, Everton. It's possibly not for a defensive returns, getting clean sheets, but could be getting an attacking return or 2.
Yeah, I don't think the fixtures are quite good enough to go there. I kind of look when I'm looking at 4.5, so I want good home fixtures. And after Luton, I'm not sure Villa and Brighton at home is, they're tough fixtures for defenders. But I don't know much about the player. I watched him against Palace in the last match, and I thought he looked really good in that. So I think he's the kind of player I'll continue kind of watching and seeing that maybe there might be an opportunity further down the line to bring him in. But so far so good for him. But it's just a shame the fixtures aren't better.
Next up, Dan Burn, 4.6 million. He's going to get a sniff of Trippier's points. That'll do me. But he could do 6 shots inside the box. This is a lot. Considering he's about a foot taller than most other players he's around, that's very good. He's actually created a couple of chances as well. I mean, he's a really good player. This is something that really, really exceptionally tall players get really badly misjudged as being, they're only about, the aerial threat there, because he's actually really good with his feet as well. And Peter Crouch had the same thing as well. He's a really good player. But yeah, so Byrne has actually scored a goal over the last 4 matches. He's had 3 clean sheets as well. So yeah, lots of prospect returns there. I'm pleased I went for him as a Trippier substitute. Next best, I think, after Sean Botman. And Botman's obviously injured. So Byrne probably might be someone you might consider, possibly, if you want a bit of Newcastle defence.
Yeah, I think 4.6 makes sense, doesn't it? With Botman's injured, he's gone up to 4.7. So Byrne's the cheapest route into that back line. And Newcastle have obviously got one of the top 4 or 5 defences in the division.
Yeah.
I think really good pick.
Dallow's on this. He was our segue into this, so I won't mention his stats again. But yeah, so he is on this list here, and so he's a bit further down, but still on this list with his 9 chances created. But the last name on is Porro, Tottenham, 5.1, 2 shots inside the box, 7 chances created, 5 corners, and this sort of cements him over Doggy being the one to get for Tottenham if you want to get a defender with attacking threat. He certainly, on the eye, he looks the better. But I mean, I think they're both good, but Porro looks the one who might get you a bit more returns.
Yeah, I completely agree. I started with Udogie in game week 1, and I was quite happy with that. And then as the game weeks have gone on and you watch more of Spurs, you're realising that Porro is the fullback to own, I think, albeit a little bit more expensive. But he gets into some really good positions. He had a good chance at Luton, didn't he, in the last match? And I think whether or not you want a Spurs defender long term, I'm not sure. But if you do want one, then he's probably the one to own.
And so everyone in the live chat, if you've got some questions for me and Tom, do ask away. We'll gather those in a minute. But what I'll do is, while you put your questions in, and do remember to put a question mark on so I can easily see them. We'll have a look at some of the best goalkeepers. So we'll briefly have a look at this because people aren't happy with their goalkeepers. So I've sorted this by expected goals prevented. And that's essentially how good they are. And I've only put the plus ones. So these ones who have actively prevented goals. So for example, Martinez is top. He's actively prevented, him being brilliant, has actively prevented 2 goals that we expected to concede. I haven't put any of the minus ones. They're the ones that actually cost their team. So they were expected to concede and they have not delivered. And I've also highlighted those who have also got a good save rate. Because what you want is a good goalkeeper who's going to prevent goals. So you want clean sheets potential, but you want a lot of saves. You want those save points. You want bonus points to go with that as well. So Martinez is top. I haven't flagged him up because at 4.9, I think Cash is probably a bit better than him in terms of attacking threat with those clean sheets. So his clean sheet's not in doubt. It's best goalkeeper in terms of expected goal prevented, but he's 4.9 million. He has had a clean sheet, but just the 10 saves in the last 4 matches. So he's a minutes per save every 36 minutes. Quite good, but not as good as Cash. I think there's probably better. I think you probably agree with that. If you were going to go for a Villa defender, you go for Matty Cash probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Martinez was 4.5, then there might be a conversation, but no.
Sanchez at Chelsea is interesting. Obviously, former Brighton keeper, with surplus requirements of Brighton, but he's only conceded a couple of goals last 4 matches, 2 clean sheets, minutes per save rate, really, really strong every 24 minutes. That's excellent. And he's had 15 saves, and his expected goals prevented just behind Martinez at 2. So he's actually a really good keeper to have. He's only 4.6 million. It's a shame that the fixtures are so bad. They're bottom of the ticker for the next 6: Arsenal, Brentford, Tottenham, Man City, Newcastle, then Brighton. I can see maybe 1 clean sheet out of that, but you're going to get plenty of saves, and also he's not going to concede as many as perhaps fans of those other teams would hope. So Sanchez could be an option. He's a wait and see, isn't he? When Chelsea's fixtures get better, probably. Isn't he?
Yeah, I think they get good in 16. So game week 16, I think. Because I'm kind of looking at goalkeepers for the wild card at the moment, but it does feel like now's the time to be offloading Chelsea rather than investing in them. But their defence has actually been good so far, as you'd probably expect it to be given the fixtures.
Yeah.
But still, a Chelsea goalkeeper at 4.6. There might be a time later in the season when he's actually quite handy. No.
Yeah, definitely. And next up is Areola, who was probably one of the first names on my wildcard last week, because he's only 4.2. He's the West Ham number one. He's conceded 8 goals over that time, but he's had tough fixtures. The fixtures get better now. So after Villa, got Everton. We mentioned these before: Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Crystal Palace. Lots of potential for clean sheets there. But if he doesn't get a clean sheet, he's got the saves. 17 saves. That's a save rate, minutes per save rate of every 21 minutes. And he's a good goalie as well. Expected goals prevented, getting on for nearly 2 goals that he, through his sheer brilliance, has prevented. So yeah, you're wildcarding soon probably, and Areola, one of the first names on your squad list.
Yeah. I mean, he's already in the team because I started with Onana and Turner, but I wasn't very happy with that early door, so I switched Turner for Areola in game week 3, I think it was. And it's been, he was 4 million at the time. It was a bit of a no-brainer because West Ham are a decent team. Not great, but they're good. They're quite reliable in matches. For instance, the Sheffield United one a couple of weeks ago comes in, gets you the 6 points, job done. So 4.2 for a West Ham goalie. They'll be a lock on the wild card. It's just who you pair him with.
Yeah.
Do you go with somebody like Turner and really keep that budget down low? Or do you go then and put him next to somebody a bit more expensive, like a couple of the names a bit further down on that table?
Definitely. I mean, one name that is intriguing people is Raya at Arsenal. He's 4.8 million. He has only conceded 2 goals in his last 4 matches, but he's relatively new to the team, as in he's just replaced Ramsdale. So the threat of Ramsdale replacing him again is always there. He's had 3 clean sheets though, and his expected goals prevented is 1.4, so just below Areola. So really good there, good goalkeeper. But his save rate, well, it's pants. He's made 5 saves, and this is what you get with a good keeper with a good defence in a good team. It doesn't matter if he's a good keeper. I could be the goalie there. I'll just be standing there. So he's only made 5 saves in the last 4 matches. He's not one I would go for because he's not getting those save points. But I think we spoke about this just before we started this. He is still getting the bonus because he's probably one of the best at passing out from the back, isn't he? So Raya is replacing the save rate with these incredible passing stats, which is earning the bonus. So still an option.
Yeah, he hits that passing threshold, doesn't he? I think it was against Everton when they won 1-0 and he got a couple of bonus points in that one I think he only made one save in the match. So, I'm not quite convinced by Raya. I think he interested me a couple of weeks ago, but the more I think about it, I just think one iffy performance, Ramsdale could come back in. I think the fact that you can get to 4.7, so a touch cheaper.
Yeah.
Less appealing for me. And Arsenal is such a good defence this year. Declan Rice has just really come in and shored them up defensively. They don't concede many shots. No. So I'm kind of looking at somebody like Areola who's playing in a worse defence, but still an okay defence, and they're just going to rack up save points and bonus that route rather than relying on passing, because the passing bonus thing will work for Raya in low scoring matches. But Arsenal's fixtures are about to get easier. We're going to be scoring more goals, and I think that the chances of Raya getting bonus with a clean sheet is going to diminish in the next kind of 8 game weeks. So.
Kaminski's next for Luton. He's only 4.5 million, 5 goals conceded, no clean sheets, but a great save rate every 32 minutes, so just behind Martinez and a bit above Sanchez. Expected goals prevented, he through his brilliance has prevented 1 1/5 of a goal. And as Alex Misha in the live chat points out, Kaminski's saves really show that Luton are not as great of a fixture everyone thinks they are from a attacking point of view, and that's indeed the case. And that's one of the reasons why I sort of moved off Son for the captaincy last time out, because I felt that Luton are capable of shutting up shop, and Kaminski's part of that. He's a good goalkeeper, obviously. He's one of the best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over the last 4 matches, he's the 5th best goalkeeper in terms of XG prevented. But I'm going to sketch over him though, because the fixtures, I can't see many clean sheets. So it's one to sort of remember when Luton's fixtures get better, that you might get some clean sheets, you might get some good returns from Kaminsky as a budget enabler. Johnston's next. He's a good one. Crystal Palace, 4.5. Only conceded 3 goals, and he's had 3 clean sheets in his last 4. Minutes per save rate every 24 minutes, which is the same as Sanchez, just above Areola. And his expected goals prevented is 1.1. He would be a good one for a wild card, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was a bit of worry from his owners, wasn't there, when Henderson came in? But then he's got a thigh injury, I think, anyway. And Johnston and the Palace defence have been doing they're a reliable defence. They're the kind of defence I like owning, because you plug them in the easier home matches and they deliver quite often. Yeah. Like they did last week against Forest. So, Johnston definitely on the radar as a potential goalkeeper. Yeah. Palace have got some decent fixtures as well. Yeah. After the next 2, they've got Burnley, Everton and Luton.
Someone in the chat, Eunice, was asking, Leno's not on the table. Yeah, no, he wasn't in this table. If you look at all matches, he would be. So I've just gone for the last 4. So this is very recent. So it's a small snapshot of the latest goalkeepers and what they're doing. And a lot depends on who they played. But Leno, yes, I always like Leno as a choice. And I was going to pair Leno with Areola until I needed the money. And I do think Leno is a good option as well. And Fulham's fixtures are okay. No, they're not. They're awful. That's another factor why he's not on here. Tottenham, Brighton, Manchester United, Villa, Wolves and Liverpool. I can't see a single clean sheet out of that. So that's not the reason he's not on here. But yeah. Neto at Bournemouth, someone I always talk about. Bournemouth haven't quite gelled. They've got 2 crunch matches coming up. 10 goals conceded. That is a sorry story. Just 1 clean sheet. But his save rate is the joint best on this table. Every 17 saves, so that's 1 every 21 minutes. His expected goals prevented is 0.6, so quite good. One to mention. I'm just going to sort of sketch over these because I don't think many people are going to be convinced, but it's good to say their stats. Jose Sarr, every season, pre-season, we look at the pricing. And Jose Sarr is inexplicably 5 million, and everyone why he should be 4.5 million. But nevertheless, he is a good goalkeeper. His expected goals prevented is 0.6. Minutes per save every 22.5 minutes. He's only conceded 6 goals when he's had some tough fixtures. So that's why he's on here, because he's good.
It's odd, isn't it? I mean, if he was 4.5, he would genuinely be an option, I think, for people. But because he's 5, it's a bit like Pope this year. He's been priced at the name below. He's 5.5 this year. He's just been priced. Why would you go for Pope when there's Botman at 4.5 or Trippier started at 6.5? It makes them non-options. And I'd say it's the same for Sarr, because I think you can get into that Wolves defence for kind of 4.5 if you want to with the defender. So why is the goalkeeper 5 million?
Yeah. Pope, he's 5.5 million. I still think he's got a Burnley premium from his Burnley days, but 5.5 million. Newcastle, yes, defence is good, but you're not going to go for Pope when you've got likes of Burner $1 million cheaper, Potman $1 million cheaper, or so. Trippier, $1 million more, and you can get Trippier, so a bit more than $1 million, but nevertheless, 3 clean sheets there and 6 saves. So he's sort of an also ran, but his expected goals prevented is 0.5, so pretty good. Okay, what we'll do is I see some of you already got your questions in the chat, so we'll go through those and then we'll sort of wrap this up with some of those questions there. Okay, so I'll go back, see if I can get some question marks and I'll find them. Leno equal top on points. Why not on the list? I think I've explained that why Leno wasn't on the goalkeeping one. It's just his stats weren't as good the last 4 matches. But yes, I think long term he's a great option. Okay. Thoughts on those Uber differentials yet not quite nailed on 6.5 range new signing mids? Wow, that's a tongue twister. Like Doku, Kudus and Fati. Well, we mentioned Doku already, and probably the same reason. You've just answered. I say you just answered your questions. I like the Uber differential bit, but the new signing mids not quite nailed. That's why I'm not interested. Probably the same for you, Tom.
Yeah, Kudus is a player I like, but he's nowhere near nailed enough in that team at the moment. Moyes tends to integrate his new signings from other countries in, certainly in some cases in the attacking positions, if I remember rightly, a little bit slower. And when you've got players like Diaby and Neto, these nailed on players for similar prices, don't really see. I mean, it's the same for Fati. I mean, Fati looks good, but he's not nailed in that team, is he? So
no. Alex asks, if you don't own Bowen, Diaby, Matoma or Diaz, which of those players, who are all good players to own at the moment, would you prioritise for game week 10? And would you prioritise them over an Arsenal mid? Then it gets a bit complicated, so I'm not going to read the rest of it out. But nevertheless, they're all good players. Which one of those would you target? Well, first of all, I would prioritise in game week 10 an Arsenal mid. If Saka's not fit yet, I'm going to go for Martinelli, I think. And because Arsenal's fixtures are excellent from game week 10 onwards, they've got Sheffield United, then Newcastle, that's tricky, but then Burnley, Brentford and Wolves, so I can see lots of returns there. But out of those players they mentioned, for me, I think Bowen from game week 10, West Ham are really good, and I think you might favour Diaby perhaps, Tom, I don't know, but that would be for me.
No,
Bowen.
I don't think I would. Yeah, I think I'd go Bowen too, because I think I do actually prefer. I wrote a piece about it a couple of weeks ago. I really like Diaby as a pick, but I prefer Watkins out of the two. And so Bowen I think looks really, really good for this West Ham run.
Zubin asks, is 3-5-2 still the best formation to go with on wildcard? We have amazing options up top now, and you can get cheaper mids like Neto, Gordon or Souček as the fifth mid for rotation. Yes, it's something I've spoken about on the wildcard videos, and we've spoken about with our teams. For me personally, I still prefer 3-5-2. I think there's so many good midfield options. I like, I think in the 6.5 or so million mark, there's still options like Matoma around there, and it's tricky to get them all in if you've got three good strikers. But I think if you're not going to go for Haaland, do it, because you can get Watkins, Darwin Núñez. You can look around. You can maybe get Solanke in as well. You can get some sort of nailed on goal scoring strikers, which is what you want. But I still prefer 3-5-2 myself. I think that's the most flexible structure at the moment, because I'm still not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned those names, Watkins, and then it sort of peters out then, because yes, Núñez is good, but he's not nailed. Various other strikers. Brozier could be good, but not nailed because Jackson's there. It's just that not nailed on this. Solanke is good, but Bournemouth aren't performing. Pedro is on penalties for Brighton, but will he start every match? Ferguson's fantastic, got me a hat-trick earlier this season, but will he start? I still think there's a lot of ifs and buts over the strikers.
Yeah, I think I probably am more 3-5-2, just because I don't want to limit myself to four midfielders and then say a Palmer or something like that, which is what I'd do in a 3-4-3. I mean, you've got Alvarez as well, who you could add to that list, and Calvert-Lewin, I think, as well, but tougher, trickier fixtures. But I think he will play every match, providing he's fit. Yeah. But I think there's more appeal now with the three. I mean, we touched upon this 2-3 weeks ago and said that there are slowly a few, good forwards emerging in that kind of £6 to £7 million price bracket. That's been the case, and now we're seeing more people move to the 3-4-3. Yeah. I think it's really good for the game. I think having these conversations is really good, isn't it? Because I do think if you like three strikers, go for it and go 3-4-3. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, we mentioned there about, it's definitely an option if you're going without Haaland perhaps as well, because then you can really get, say, Watkins, Darwin Núñez, Alvarez. You can get those sorts of players. And the next question here, Daffyd asks, he's avoiding Haaland until game week 16 to go against the grain. That's enabled him to get Salah, Trippier, Son, Darwin, Alexander-Arnold. So we've got a really good squad. But he's actually considering free hitting game week 11 to cover the inevitable Haaland hat-trick, which is game week 11. They play Bournemouth at home. I would say if you're going to go against the grain and go without Haaland, I wouldn't use a free hit chip on that. No. You should have a good enough squad to cover it. I mean, that would be your aim for that. But Tom, can I just get you to move in the centre of the screen a little bit? You've drifted.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Only because I'm looking at my laptop down here, and my eyesight's so bad I have to get really close.
That's fine.
I'll sit up straight.
So he's got a really good squad there, but I would say yes, his inevitable hat trick. But I would say that could come sooner. Game week 9, they face Brighton, and Brighton's defence, that's hat trickable for Haaland there. So, and that's what you're buying into. Haaland can score a hat trick anytime, but he's got strong potential in game week 9 and game week 11. And he can score against anyone. So I would trust the team that you're going with, the Haalandless team, and put in and save that free hit chip for when it'd be more lucrative later in the season. So there. So yeah, got time for a couple more questions. European midweek matches to make. No, I can't quite read that question. In a 3-5-2, so on that theme, who would be the best fourth defender for the next few weeks? So, a fourth defender is someone you want as a really good first sub. I would say. I think they're better value there. So I've gone for a mixture for me of Dan Burn and Anderson at Crystal Palace. So you can put any Crystal Palace defender in there. And so when the fixtures are bad for one, I'll move the other one in. Meanwhile, both of them have got goal threat, so they might get me some points off the bench if needed. And play for good.
I was going to say Gahey, so Gahey and Anderson, same thing.
Yeah.
Or if Robertson's out for a while, you could go for Tsimikas at 4.4 if you think he's going to start, and we're getting, he might not be a bad player that you can, you probably want to start him in, certainly in some of those fixtures, but 4.4, he could quite easily be your first sub.
Yeah. So. Gavin asks, any players we consider fixture proof? Yes. But I think for all players, all players in theory should score better at home against terrible sides. That's the sort of watchword. So against a promoted side at home, that's when they should score more. But they can also score away against a rival to the top. So yes, he mentions Haaland, Salah. Yes, I would put the likes of Bowen in the mix for that as well. Talisman for clubs that can score against anyone.
I think you put Son in there as well, because I think he naturally is the player. He thrives on that space, on the counter-attack, and the bigger games tend to give him more space to do that. We've seen him haul against Arsenal recently. And so, I think he's that probably player that I think you could just hold him regardless of fixtures. No.
Definitely. I think I've answered most of the questions I can see there. So apologies for those I haven't got. I haven't reached yet with there. So do ask me and Tom. We're both on Twitter. We've got X, I should say. We're both on X, formerly Twitter. And we've got our handles on the screen. I'm FFScout _Joe, and Tom is FPL Cruyff at 74. And so we're both there. So if you've got any more questions for us, we're happy to answer them. So ask us there. But in the meantime, thanks everyone for joining us. Do remember to press that like button. Do remember to subscribe as well. Me and Tom are going to record our team reveals, which we'll publish those tomorrow, because we've been rattling on for an hour and 18 minutes already, so those might get lost. So they'll be in a handy, easy to find separate video for those that want to find out what our ranks are. I know Abdullah and others are very keen to know our ranks. We might mention them even, and so we'll talk about those in more detail. But this is all about you, not us. Thanks for joining us on Goals Imminent. Good luck in Game Week 9, and we'll see you again next week. Cheers.
Thanks, Joe. See you soon.